Hey folks, Uncle Bubbles and the Photographer here, shooting our very first video hiking with the pups. So today we're going to be talking about something that if you're outdoors a lot, you're out hiking a lot, you're going to have to deal with it eventually. They're nasty, they're gross, they carry a lot of diseases, they're ticks. So 2017 is shaping up to be a pretty nasty season for ticks. A couple of the reasons behind that is we had a super mild winter. The ticks host, squirrels, rodents, didn't die off with hard freeze or a nasty winter, and therefore allowed the ticks to continue to breed, continue to populate, and suddenly this year we have an explosion of ticks very early on.
Here in the Chicagoland area, there are over 15 variety of ticks, but there's 3 that we're most likely to encounter when we're out hiking with our pups. And those are the American dog tick, which is also known as the wood tick, the Lone Star tick, and the deer tick, which is also known as the blackleg tick. And while Lyme disease isn't very prevalent in our area, there have been some cases, and it is very prevalent in some of our surrounding states and downstate in Illinois. So we do have Lyme vaccines for Nala and Shelby Joe. While Lyme disease tends to get the most attention, all the ticks in our area carry a whole slew of diseases, and you kind of need to know what to look for if your dog gets a bite. If you have found a tick that's latched on, you're able to get it out. If you aren't able to if you feel like you might have left some of the mouth parts in there, don't freak out too much. It's not alive, it's dead. It's going to obviously irritate the area. Keep an eye out for infection, that kind of thing, when you get home. If it's still infected or red, you can try to take your dog to the vet. But after you get the tick out, you want to make sure that you disinfect the area. You should always in your day pack backpack have a first aid kit, which includes alcohol swabs. You just dab one of those over the area. You just don't want it to get infected. While we're talking about all the important things to do if you find a tick and what to do with the tick, it's important to also talk about what you should not do if you find a tick on your dog. There's some common wives' tales out there that you should cover the tick in petroleum jelly or nail polish remover. A newer one out there is that you should try to cover the tick in peppermint oil because they don't like it. And it's true they don't like it, but the problem with any of these kind of methods of kind of drowning a tick is that it agitates the tick and it causes it to kind of regurgitate its stomach contents into the wound, and it just increases the risk of spreading a disease. So please don't do any of those things that I just mentioned.
So in this video we're going to be primarily focusing on tick prevention with dogs. There's a whole boatload of information out there about how to prevent ticks from yourself, from humans. We'll touch on a couple of those topics, but really we're going to be focusing on tick prevention for dogs. So for humans, a couple of the easy things you can do is wear light colored clothing, use DEET only on yourself, do not use DEET on your dogs. DEET's very bad for animals. And another tip is you can tuck your pant legs into your boots something that I obviously don't do personally because I don't like the feel of that. So I don't do that, but I do spray around my ankles with as much DEET as you can. Let's talk a little bit about prevention. There's several ways you can prevent ticks from hopefully not biting your dog and latching on. Some of those include monthly spot treatments like Frontliner and Vantex. We choose not to use that with our dogs for a couple reasons. First of all, they're pesticides that are all around kind of nasty to begin with. And then one of our dogs actually had a reaction from the spot treatment, and ever since then we made the decision not to use those types of chemicals around our dogs. We opt for as much of a natural preventative as we can. You've probably already seen Nala and Shelby Joe wearing these green. They're sold as gaiters, but they're actually more like buffs that you get for even humans, and they're made by Insect Shield, and they are impregnated with permethrin. And if that's not the right name of it, we'll add it to our video when we figure that out. These gaiters, they're marketed as preventing mosquitoes, biting flies, ticks from biting your dogs, and they're washable up to 25 times with the permethrin not wearing off in those washes. So we're testing them out for the first time this year. We'll see how effective they are, and we'll report back. So one of the best ways to prevent just your dog from getting into ticks is having them stay out of the long grass. And if you're on a nice paved trail, you can do this by keeping your dog more into the middle of the trail and not letting them go into the tall grass. See, the photographer and Shelby Joe are staying nicely in the middle of the trail. Photographer's not letting Shelby Joe go into the tall grass. A little spin move there. So we're going to do a quick tick check on Nala before we get back into the car, and I'm just going to kind of show you what we do, and works pretty good, especially on a fluffy dog like Nala. First I'm going to take her backpacks off. These are great packs by Outward Hound that we found, that the actual packs disconnect from the harness, which makes it really easy for nighttime.
Bring your bikes.
Side. So what I usually do is look at her paws first and see, kind of move back the hair, see if there's any ticks crawling around upper legs. And the more fluffy your dog is, the more you have to really get in there and look. No, it actually looks pretty clean today. We're testing out a new mixture of essential oils that are supposedly really good at preventing ticks, and today it looks like it is doing a pretty good job. One thing you can do too is lift them up, check their belly. You want to check all the places where ticks would normally like to hide. That's in their armpits, up and around their ears, looks inside their ears, around their collar. You're really just feeling for any bumps that you need to investigate further. Nala actually is feeling pretty good today. The other day we picked up almost 20 ticks from her, and that was not fun. And she got a tick bath that night. I'm gonna check the nether regions as well, make sure that there's no ticks up in there, and Nella's looking pretty good. So right now I think we're pretty confident that we had no ticks this hike.
We'll do another tick check when we get to the car, and then another one at home.
Yep.
Because we choose to go the more natural route with our flea and tick preventative, we make our own flea and tick spray for our dogs and for our skin. That works pretty well. One thing I want to say, anytime you're using essential oils to make a spray, don't put it in a plastic bottle. Always put it in an aluminum bottle. The essential oils will eat through the plastic. So that's just one little tip. Our recipe that we use is 2 ounces of water, 2 ounces of an emulsifier such as vodka, which is what we use. You can also use witch hazel or vinegar, apple cider vinegar, any of that. A half teaspoon of liquid glycerin. That just helps the scents to last longer. We use 20 drops of geranium bourbon. You want to make sure it's geranium bourbon. And 20 drops of cedar wood. And both of these are tick repellent smells. Usually for a bottle this size, I double the recipe. But for a general recipe, we put in 2 ounces of vodka. Then we put in 20 drops each of the oils. Let that sit for a couple minutes. Then shake it up and add the glycerin and water, and then give it a good shake. And then you get a good spray that you can spray on your dogs. Obviously try to avoid their eyes, nose, and mouth. And you can also spray it on your skin. I think it works really well. We had no ticks on them today, and we use it on us without a problem.
Hey folks, Uncle Bubbles and the photographer here, shooting our very first video. What is it called?
There are 3 main kind of ticks that we're going to encounter on the trail, and there's a whole group of people coming.
So a little bit about us. And Shelby takes a poop. Stop it.
And the wood tick. I'm sorry, no. Do it over.